Hello and welcome to Gaming Gain. My name is Muzz, and today we're going to do a recap of 2020 and the games that I have played over the year. The good, the bad, and the downright ugly, which we'll get to near the end of the year. But we're going to start at this beginning with Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, one of the biggest disappointments of the year. As a Dragon Ball fan, I was hyped for this game going into it. An open world kind of retelling of the story with some new side quests in there that would tell some different stories along the way. Got it day one, booted it up, played it for 3 or 4 hours and was out, was done. It was, just a big disappointment. The combat is serviceable at best. It's just not what I wanted from this game, and it'll make me think about buying Dragon Ball games in the future. Dragon Ball Z Fighters is, despite not being a fighting game fan, is one of the games that really showcase what a Dragon Ball game could be. The combos were excellent, the style, the presentation of the game was excellent, and Dragon Ball Kakarot, well, it did get the style right, it was just uninteresting. The open world was bare bones. The combat was, as I say, very poor, and I haven't played it since. Will I go back and give it another shot? Probably not. So it's one of those games that I spent 40-50 quid on and played 4 hours of it, so not money well spent. And now we come to a game that wasn't actually released in the year of 2020, and that was Spyro, the Reimagined Trilogy. I only played the first one. I intend to get to second and third one in the future, but it was just a nice game, a nice trip down memory lane. Played these games when I was younger, a good nostalgic trip for me, and the only game that I actually platinumed this year, which says a lot about what has become my gaming ways over the past couple of years. Normally I would try and platinum all my games way back when, but with just the amount coming out that I want to play, I just don't have the time. But Spyro, fantastic. If you've not played it, or you want to go back to it, or you played it way back when and you're unsure, give it a bash. It's a great time. And now we come to a very good game, in some ways, The Outer Worlds. A game that I should have played at its release, but I just get bogged down in other stuff. I can't remember why. It's a open world RPG. You get to design your own character and set out over the course of 20-30 hours, I believe it played it for, maybe more. And the campaign is very enjoyable indeed. The writing in this game is funny. It has a great personality about it. It's a game that really wears its kind of inspirations on its sleeve, and I had a good time with the story. The way where it lets itself down is the combat. The combat is above serviceable, but not quite good. It is in that it's kind of average, like, as I'll go on to talk about with Cyberpunk. Shooting in RPGs is hard because if you come up against a human, especially, who's overpowered and you're shooting them with bullets, it's just hard to get out of your head that maybe they shouldn't be surviving as much. And it's janky as well. It's got a bit of jank to it, which is a shame. But the voice acting is very well done. As I say, the writing is the star of the show. I especially love the ship AI, who I can't remember her name, but she is very sassy. And some of the other companions that you meet, you can go on their stories, which seems to be a common thing in RPGs, where your RPG companion will bring something up, and then you'll go do their stories, which it's not necessarily a knock on the game, because those are some of the most enjoyable side quest, if you like, in RPGs nowadays, is learning more about your companions and what drove them to be the person that they are, or the robot that they are, or the alien that they are in this case. But Outer Worlds is a very, very enjoyable game if you go in with it and set lower expectations for the actual moment to moment gameplay and higher expectations for the story. And now we come to what, if I did give out a Game of the Year award, would be probably my Game of the Year, probably my favourite game that I played this year. Nothing came as close to matching the gameplay, the exhilaration, the joy I had of playing Doom Eternal. June 2016 is on the Video Game Index, rightfully so, but Doom Eternal, in my opinion, just absolutely took everything up and turned it to 11. The additions of the dash, the additions of the flamethrower, just all the different grenades, the new weapons. There's so much things to keep you on your toes. The new enemies just add so much to this game, and some of the set pieces are fantastic, incredible stuff. It's just a hell of a time. The Doom games, the Doom reboots have really showcased just how fun a game can be without having all the weeds of like story and all that. I mean, the story is serviceable, but it's all about the gameplay and the action and the fantastic gameplay that this game offers. And the DLC that they've also released, the Ancient Ones, I believe it's called, which I started playing, which is actually quite hard, which is good because I thought that was something that, having played Doom Eternal, I wanted to go back and play at a higher difficulty, and that provides it. So Doom Eternal just blew me away. I knew it would. This is one of the games that I was a fairly safe bet this was going to be received well, and it certainly was. Oh, just making me watching it at the moment just making me want to go back and give it another bash, especially with that super shotgun. Oh boy, that is some gun. Anyway, next one. Now I'm going to do a PlayStation VR segment where I just talk about the games I played on PSVR this year, but this one deserved its own mention. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Now, well, I have not completed the game because of just YouTube, and the way I have to kind of play games now is that I don't like to play it until I've recorded and put all the parts out, and I stopped putting the parts out for this just because I had other stuff to move on to, which was a shame because it's the fullest, most immersive VR game I have played to date. The combat fits. You are actually walking around environments. You are not just on rails. You get to explore. The movement is quite intuitive once you get used to it. The combat, where you actually take out a knife from your holster and you have to drive it into the head of a zombie, will never get old. The shooting is also just very, very good for a VR game. If you're one of these people like me who gets quite into games, it can be quite panicky where you're really struggling. The taking of the two-handed weapons, which the two-handed weapon is definitely the weakest portion because they can sometimes lose the motion sensor. But Saints Sinners was and is a joy to play, and I might just finish it because I don't see myself putting out any more of the parts, which I might do. I don't know. I need to look back and see where I'm at. I think I only have one more part recorded that I need to put out, but it's just they didn't get the views that I wanted. So that's the unfortunate thing about playing these types of games on and putting them on YouTube, is that they don't get the kind of views that I want. Then it's kind of tough to go back to them. But this is certainly one that I've just been longing to get back to, because it's just such a fantastic experience. It's taken VR from an enjoyable 30-minute to an hour experience and turned it into a game that I could play for 2-3 hours quite happily and be immersed in that world. And, it's a VR game, so there's going to be some jank. The textures aren't as nice, but the way it's set up, where it's kind of like a roguelike and you're having to scavenge for supplies, I love that. You have to craft weapons. You have to there's like different things that you can, different parts of the map that change. There's they bring in the kind of stuff from the Telltale, where it's like you're talking between two factions and you're trying to create solutions for them, and just it puts you in some tough spots. The Walking Dead Saints Sinners is the VR game of the year if there was going to be one, and I think it is. I cannot wait to get back into it, as I've been saying. I hope to see some more from it as well. I hope there's a second one, and like some of the other VR games that I got onto, it just has taken VR up a notch, and I hope that the VR gets an improvement soon, because it deserves it. I think it deserves it. Now we come to the big one, the one that has divided gamers this year. It is The Last of Us Part 2. It was given Game of the Year at the Game Awards, which was also quite controversial. Now, let's talk about this game. Where do I even begin? This game has certainly divided my opinion on whether or not I enjoyed it. The technical aspects of this game, the detailed environments, the voice acting, the motion capture, the animations are outstanding and cannot be matched. I have not played a game that is this densely populated within the environment. No two rooms look alike. It is a technical masterpiece, and Naughty Dog deserve all the credit for that. And it won quite a lot of those awards at the Game Awards. Where I feel it let me down, and let a lot of people down, was with the story. Now, Last of Us Part 1, as it will now be known, is the top of my video game index, and that's because it had, the technical stuff, fantastic animation, all that, but the story was what drove you through that game. The connection between Ellie and Joel was just something that was a roller coaster ride to experience, and it kept you pushing through the game to see the end result. And then the problems kind of came from the end, and I didn't mind the end because it wasn't my story, it was their story. But The Last of Us Part 2 story, and I'm trying not to do spoilers, if you've not played it, go experience it yourself, please. I think it is something that you need to make your own mind up on. Some people are on the side that it's a fantastic story. Some people, like myself, are on the side that it didn't really deliver in the story department. It was just, I can give it this credit. It took a risk. It didn't go for the same. Like I heard people say about it, like when you think about a sequel, you just think about more of the same. And if they just done the Joel and Ellie thing again, that would have been, they wouldn't have taken any risks. I think it would have been a good story, but they wouldn't have pushed the boat out. And I think they tried to push the boat out, and they may have lost some people in the water along the way. But it was just, the story was just, I'm trying to put it into words how I feel. The characters I don't have a problem with in terms of who they are, the personalities and that. Ellie, I think, was the weakest. Her motivations were the weakest, and the other character, they tried to play it. You got to see from both sides. I don't think that really worked, and yeah, it just didn't land for me. The story just did not land for me. Some of the side characters that you meet, kind of along the way or from the past, were not as strong as the ones that had been in the Last of Us. You know, I think of Bill, fantastic character, side character. Tess as well, but yeah, what it comes down to for me is that the story in The Last of Us Part 2 was just not to my liking, and that is the main issue with this game, in my opinion, because the story is why you play this game. The gameplay is good, the sneaking about, the clickers are still a terrifying enemy. The humans are a lot more diverse in this game, but story is why I play it. I played it. The story was what I was looking forward to the most, and it just didn't live up to maybe my high expectations. Maybe I set my expectations too high, but yeah, it just didn't live up to them. And that is my thoughts on the Last of Us Part 2. Very divisive game, but one that will be looked back fondly by others and not so by others as well. And now we come to one of the highlights of 2020, Ghost of Tsushima. Made by Sucker Punch, who were famous for the infamous games, and they really took a risk with this game. It's a completely new style of RPG for them. Samurai, you know, a completely new world for us to explore, and I believe they just hit it out the park. The most beautiful game of the year, by far and away. Some of the landscape, some of the scenery in this game, foliage, just unbelievable technically. Well, Last of Us, the technical achievement comes from the how dense the environments were, with their sort of like no rooms look alike, as I was saying. The landscape and the world of Ghost of Tsushima is just a joy to explore because it is so gorgeous, it's so beautiful, and the combat is fun. The combat at the start, you're a little bit like, oh, not sure how I feel about this, but then once you learn the new stances, you upgrade your abilities, it becomes just super fun and just satisfying. Like, you get so many opportunities in games nowadays to be stealthy and to be a ghost, which is what is this. And I like how they tried to incorporate that way was kind of dishonorable and I wish they'd played more with that in the story. Whereas if you'd actually played up to those elements, you would have lost some certainly family members or stuff like that. But in this game, I wanted to be the samurai. I would rock up to enemy strongholds and be like, "Oh, you were dueling," and then you just that dueling mechanic never got old for the entirety of the game, where you would hold down square and then once the enemy attack, release it, take them out in one swipe. The next one comes, take them out. Just a lovely mechanic, and the story isn't exactly the best. It is fairly standard story, but it's not necessarily about that. I'd say all of the aspects come together to make a very good game, a great game, I would say. Certainly pushing Doom Eternal for my game of the year. Ghost of Tsushima definitely deserves some love. Fantastic game, can't wait to see what Sucker Punch do next. I would like to see them revisit Infamous, but that's just me being biased. But if they get some, and also some free DLC, a free multiplayer mode, which was not asked for, but was fun. It was a fun distraction, fun diversion, and I can see them really adding to this game. Maybe some new DLC. They leave it open for a sequel, which I would be down for. But Sucker Punch, definitely their stock has risen in 2020. And now we come to one of the breakout hits of 2020, Fall Guys. For a couple of months, it was the hottest game of the year. It's kind of dwindled a little bit now. But for those first couple of months after its launch, it was a juggernaut. It just was such a behemoth in terms of the amount of players playing it, and rightfully so, because it is a fun ass game. Inspired by game shows like It's a Knockout, Takeshi's Castle, I guess you could throw Gladiators in there as well. It just kind of took the Battle Royale genre and flipped it on its head, providing more of a game show vibe where it's not necessarily about killing, it's just about outlasting your opponents. And I still play it. I still play it from time to time. I think it is a game that a lot of people will keep on their hard drive just in case, you know, a new game mode comes out for it. Or, and this hat is quite annoying. I've been wearing it for quite a while. But yeah, it's just one of those games that people will go back to, maybe play 1, 2, 3, 4 games and then be done with it, and then play it once a week. But it deserves to be recognised as a fun game. The amount of times me and my friends were laughing at someone doing something stupid, or just the game modes. The game is just a bundle of fun, and I do want to see it, you know, keep going, because I do think they definitely deserve the credit for creating a game like this. Maybe they need a Fall Guys 2, or maybe they just need to keep adding new game modes to it, but it'll be hopefully fondly remembered by a lot of people who played it, because it doesn't necessarily do anything wrong. It provides a host of mini games that can be enjoyed by everyone, and the joy of winning a crown is up there with, you know, getting a victory in Fortnite or Apex Legends. But Fall Guys, one of the hottest games of 2020. And now we come to perhaps my favourite series that I've done this year, Until Dawn. Even before I started Gaming Gain, I had wanted to play Until Dawn, and this was one of the ideas that I had from the start, was to do a playthrough of Until Dawn, because it's just such a great experience for someone to watch and play at the same time. And especially with it being a horror game, you got to see me being quite scared at points. But Until Dawn is just a ride. It's a fun, goofy, over the top horror game that provides some genuine scares at some points. But it's not necessarily about the scares, it's about the decisions that you make along the way. And some of the decisions can be horrific for some of the cast members in here. Not a lot of mine, a few of mine get killed pretty early on, which was a shame. And the voice acting, the story is, well, the voice acting is very well done. Some recognisable names in there. Hayden, forget her last name, and Rami Malek, who's went on to much bigger things. And this, it can be a bit predictable, the story, but I think it's going for that kind of B movie horror, kind of cheesy in some parts, kind of an homage to like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, those types of horror movies. And it's just such a fun time, such a rush to play through some of the moments in this. Some of the most unique elements of it is the bit where you have to, or the couple of bits where you have to hold this controller steady, which is, you know, very, very unique for this type of game. Never seen it in any other game before it, and it brought the tension to another level. As I said, one of the favourite things that I've done this year, I finally managed to complete a game, get all the parts out, and it was all during the Halloween month, which will hopefully be a good month again in 2021. But Until Dawn, I will definitely be pushing that next year. I think it's one that people come back to. It's one of the ones that I actually wanted to revisit and watch it myself, which I don't often do with my content, apart from the Among Us videos, which I'll get to, and this. But Until Dawn, just a great game, no matter what year you're in. If you haven't played it, play it. And now we come to one of the surprises of 2020, Among Us, a game released in 2018 to very little fanfare. Hadn't heard of this game at all, and then through the power of Twitch streaming and the fact that no one could meet up, it became a runaway success. It has become one of the biggest games, one of the most played games of 2020, and out of nowhere almost. A game that has, you know, been released for 2 years to, you know, almost no support, no recognition, to all of a sudden jump into the limelight is very impressive, and a credit to the developers who, I believe, actually dissolved the company but then got it back together once they realised it was so popular, which is a pretty cool story. But it is a social deduction game, a game where you have, and these are becoming, I think, more and more popular as people can't really meet up. They're very popular with, like, in board game circles. One Night Werewolf is one that I know. I've played it, and it's of that ilk where you've got 2 or 1 player who are the imposter, and they try to take out everyone else, and crewmates have got to do tasks, and the imposter's got to try. I am actually the imposter here, which I love being the imposter. I'm one of those people who just craves it all the time. This is our first game, so you'll see me doing stuff that I really should not be doing here. But the game is just so unique and unlike anything I have ever played in my life, because it relies so heavily on the social interactions between the other players. A lot of the memory, the detective skills, the strategies that go into this game as well are fascinating to watch, and it's just such a watchable game, because there's so much lying and kind of trying to marinade is the term, I believe. Your players, if you're an imposter, trying to work it out as a crewmate as well is just a fun game. But Among Us, I love it. I can't wait to play more of it. I always get a craving for it. I think I'm going to get a kill here. We're just going to watch. I think it's a very poor kill. And I get quite lucky because no player, I believe, was going for Kiana. I missed the kill here. Then I get it. And then Kiana just runs down there. Oh, what a game. I really want to go play it now, actually. Shame it's the holidays and not everyone's available. But hey ho. Among Us, fantastic. Great to see this game getting the exposure that I think it deserves, because it provides such a unique state of gameplay that no other game has really captured, that I've experienced anyway. And now we come to the second last thing, saving the not necessarily the best till last, but the one that will be talked about the most. I'm sure you can guess what it is. For that, we're going to talk about the PSVR. I'm just going to run down some of the games that I played in it, because I think, if you watch my channel, you know I love VR so much. Super Hot in VR. It's a game that I'd always wanted to play, but in the VR, it just adds so much to the experience. The difference. I've still got Among Us on because obviously I wouldn't be able to switch through all the games. It just provides a very cool gameplay experience where as you move, time moves with your movement. Very creative and a fun experience. Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR game, story VR game, which I need to get more into. Played the first episode, loved it. Think the story is very, very interesting. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I enjoy the originals, the prequels suck, and so do the sequels. But outside of that, I don't really know much more. But this is a game that is very, very cool. Lets you wield a lightsaber and some force powers, and you just have a blast. And it has an engaging story to go along with it. Persistence, a horror game that has some of the most crazy weapons I've ever seen. A roguelike, one of my favourite moments. It's not really scary, I will say that. The enemies aren't really that intimidating, but if you go in with it the mindset that it's just a fun, wacky game where you can get a gravity gun that just you can whack enemies around with, it's just an entertaining game. And like Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, I think it adds another notch on the VR belt that shows that it can do these types of games well and very enjoyable. And then Pistol Whip, which John Wick the game was how I described it, and I believe that still holds up. It is a fun music rhythm shooting game, kind of like Beat Saber, but instead of staying in one spot, you're moving along like a track, and you've got to shoot enemies as they're shooting you. You've got to dodge out the way. It's actually quite a good workout. I'd recommend it for a workout if you're stuck in. The weather is horrible here today, so I actually might play it after this just to work off that Christmas dinner. But the music, some of the music in it is good. It isn't as good as some of the music on Beat Saber, but the gameplay is fun. It's just a unique VR experience that can only be experienced through the power of VR. So that is the I think I played a couple more, but I thought those were the ones to highlight because they really done a good job for showing off what VR can do. And now on to the last one. And here we go, Cyberpunk. If you watched my Muzz impressions video, you'll know that stuff like this is a common occurrence. The bugs and glitches in this game are horrendous. Still, after two 17 gig patches, it is still not fixed some of the just the immersion breaking bugs. And it's a shame. It's a shame because as much as I railed in the game and as much as it is getting railed on, rightfully so, if there is a good game in here, the story is engaging, the story is creative, and the voice acting and the characters are top notch. It's just a shame that it's in this package that has just been rushed to market, because if you gave them 6 months to a year, I think this game could have came out in a much better state. And now granted, I am playing it on the PS4. If I had a PlayStation 5, I would have been playing it on that, so I might have had a better experience, but there's no excuse. If you ship something on a device, you should expect it to work. You know, if you buy it, if you've been hyped for the game, you should expect it to work to a relatively normal degree, but the glitches in this are more than average for your average open world game. Like, talk about GTA, Skyrim, which is notorious for it, never had this much as I can remember. Sure, there was glitches in Skyrim. GTA less so. GTA is, I think, the benchmark. GTA 5 is the benchmark for like an open world game, but Cyberpunk is just it's just such a letdown in so many ways. The combat, like the Outer Worlds, is average. The shooting is just I've switched to a powerful sniper rifle just so which has one-shot kills if you hit them in the head, which is just so much fun, so much funnier than machine guns or pistols. The AI, as you can see, is pretty bad for the combat, but it is a letdown, and let us not forget that. No matter what state this game gets into down the line, it is a letdown, and those first couple of days should not be forgotten about, because no game should ever be shipped like that in that state. And they lied about it to the big publishers, and they've removed it from the store. They're no longer selling it, which I think is I've never seen a AAA game do this. And CD Projekt Red, who were probably considered as one of the top tier developers, along with Rockstar and Naughty Dog, have really crashed and burned towards the edge of 2020. Cyberpunk. Just such so many feelings towards this game that are just boil my blood. Just the way it was handled, just the way the whole PR and everything, and the fact that it can actually give you seizures, or could give you seizures. I hope they've removed that. I think they've removed that. But yeah, Cyberpunk. Wow, what kind of a poignant way to end 2020. A very appropriate way, I feel, to end 2020 with a game that comes out as just a complete disappointment. That's what this year has been to a lot of people. But anyway, that is 2020 and my gaming experience. Yeah, it has been ups and downs for sure. Thankfully, there were some games in there that really touched the top of the gaming pedestal, if you like, and then there were ones that really dragged the bottom. But I do not have a PS5 yet, as you can see. I hope to get one in the new year, because I have so many videos that I want to make on that, so many things that I want to do with it, but I can't because of, and now we're back in lockdown. I won't be able to get them in the shop. I'll relying on online retailers again, so I'll probably not get one till February or something. But I'm not worried, you know. There's still a lot of stuff I can do in the PlayStation 4. There's a lot of content that I want to make with stuff on the PlayStation 4 and the PS3. So that is my that is my gaming overview of my year. The review of my year, if you like. So let me know, how's your 2020 been in terms of gaming? Obviously, a lot of people have been hit hard by what has been going on, but let's just focus on the gaming for this video anyway. And I hope to see you in 2021, where hopefully things will get better. Hopefully we can get to a better place in our lives and we can forget all about the year that 2020 was. But if you like this video, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that good stuff, and any thoughts, comments, general hostile remarks, leave them below. Thank you very much. Bye bye.